All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to do something new tonight. I have my sister
Hey.
and brother-in-law, and they're going to show us how to make homemade tamales.
Okay, first you're gonna start with the masa mix. We're using the masa. You're gonna use your spices, the salt and pepper, chili powder, red pepper, and garlic.
Okay, how much masa do we use?
Just a pinch.
Just pinch, okay.
Half a bag.
Half a bag.
Okay.
Yeah. This is gonna make probably 4 to 5 dozen tamales.
About a teaspoon of pepper.
Yeah. We don't actually measure the ingredients. We just kind of know how much to put in already.
Same as salt. Red pepper. You're gonna just to taste afterwards.
Red pepper is mainly for the spice. It kind of gives it the little kick, so you put how much ever you want, how much ever you don't want. It's just everybody's taste buds are different.
Chili powder for the color of the masa and a little flavor.
Usually on the grease part, we use manteca, but we don't have that tonight, so we're gonna use, what is that, Crisco?
Mm-hmm. Garlic.
You don't want a whole lot of garlic in the masa mix because you're gonna put garlic in the tamale meat as well, okay? So you don't wanna put too much in either one. Kind of drown it out.
That's it with the spices. Now we need some
Hot water.
hot water
Boiling hot water.
and mix it up as you go.
So does the boiling hot water kind of like help break down the grease and stuff?
Exactly.
Okay.
It'll help break down the grease and get all your mixture, all your spices, grease, flour. Start mixing it together.
We got it all mixed up. This is the masa mix. You need it where it's not too runny, not too thick. It needs to be able where it's not actually sticking, because once you put it on the corn husk, you need it where you can flatten it out, you can spread it. So if you can kind of put it on your finger and kind of mash it down like that without it sticking a whole lot, then you're good, okay? Then you need it to where you can still add a little water to it and it's not too runny. You see what I'm saying? All right, we're gonna let that sit. We're gonna get started on the tamale meat. Stop laughing at me, I know you. Okay, and then I'm gonna get the corn husk soaking while we're doing the tamale meat. Come on, you get over here. All right, this right here is the ground beef that you're gonna use for the tamale meat. Just let it cook. Once it gets done cooking, then you're going to use the spices. You're going to use the same spices that you used in the masa mix. But being that our masa mix is a little bit spicy, we're not going to use as much spices in the meat. Okay? We just took a regular bag of corn husk, like this right here. Took them out of the bag. We separate them, put them in some really hot, just tap water, really hot tap water, as hot as you can stand it. put something heavy on it so that will submerge them in the water. And you just take an old white t-shirt and that's clean, a clean white t-shirt, cut it in half and lay it on top of the corn husk. And the reason why you do that is because you're going to get that corn husk smell to the shirt. And when we start putting our tamales in the pan, we're going to use the shirt to cover the tamales up to keep the steam in there. Ready? Okay, the ground beef has been cooking. It's halfway done. Once it gets about halfway done, you're going to start adding your spices. The same spices that you added to the masa mix. And keep in mind, once you do your taste test on the masa mix, if it's too spicy, do not add that much chili powder to your meat because it's going to be extra spicy. If you like it that way, that's fine, but if not, don't add as much to the meat because once it heats up and it cooks, the more it heats, the more spicy it's going to get. Okay?
It's red pepper.
And you're going to add just about the same amount of spices in the meat as you did the masa mix. Oops. Okay. We got a little bit extra chili powder in there. Somebody had the top off of it. And I didn't know they had the top off like that, but it's okay because chili powder is mainly for the color, not for, it has a little taste, but not as bad as the red pepper. Now if it would have been red pepper, it would have been a different story. Just mix it in, let it cook. And once it gets done cooking, we're gonna drain some of this grease out and we'll show you the process from there because we're gonna add some more stuff to it.
There ain't enough Mexican in me for that.
Let's see, you can smell it. Do you smell what the rock is cooking?
Wait, mate.
No.
Here you go, Mom.
That's spicy.
Mom, come here. Say, Mom.
I didn't say nothing. Stop. Hey, it's time to try tamale meat. I'm not gonna let you have none if you don't stop.
Oh, come on now.
Nope. You need to back up, boy. Look.
I got plenty more in the
No, you need to
arsenal over
stop.
there.
Come on now. Okay, that's it. You're not getting no tamale meat.
What we doing?
Okay, the meat is cooked. It's got a little red tint to the grease right there. Now, what we're gonna do in order to get the meat to the texture we want it, we're gonna add flour to it. Because when you get ready to put this meat in the tamale mix over there, you don't need it crumbling all up, falling all off of the corn husk and everything like that. The flour is gonna help it stick together. We're gonna add 2 of these big old heaping teaspoons right here. Tablespoons, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, start mixing.
And then we're going to mix it up. Once we get it mixed up really good, sit down. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. We'll take some of the heat out of it. Now once we get it all stirred up and everything, the meat is going to kind of stick together instead of crumbling all apart. And then we're going to drain some of the grease out of it. Y'all leave him alone. He's videoing over here. He's trying to get my tamale meat. See how whenever you grab it like that right there, it's kind of sticking together, not falling completely apart. Once it cooks a little more, probably need a little more flour because it's still crumbling. Good. See how you're pulling it together and it's staying there together. It's not just crumbling all back down. That's the consistency you want it. Because whenever you go to put it in there, you're going to have it. Most of the grease is drained out and you're going to need it on a spoon like that to spread it. Yeah, so as you can see, you're not straining the grease. You're dipping it out like this right here a little at a time because you don't want to take all the grease out of it.
And why is that?
That way your meat won't be dry.
Okay.
You still want a little bit in it, that way it'll cook with the masa itself, and your tamale's not gonna come out dry.
Okay.
Okay, we got the tamale meat ready. We got the masa mix ready. Now you're gonna take some of your corn husk. Make sure you drain them a little bit. That's why you got the little strainer right here so you can put it in there. Because you don't want them soaking wet whenever you put the masa on, because the masa get runny and it won't stick on the husk. So we're gonna put those in there. All right, our masa mix, we got our corn husk. We're gonna take the masa mix and put it in a bowl here. Let's get you some good old heaping spoonfuls of it. Now this whole time we've had our masa mix covered. That way it will stay warm, because you don't want it to get cold and dry out on you. You're going to take a corn husk. The corn husk has a smooth side and it has a rough side. Some of them it's kind of hard to tell, so you have to feel really good to make sure. Take the loose ends off of it. You want to fold it in half to make sure it's kind of even across the edge right there. If you have like the little slit there, you see the slit? You can take the scissors and cut that much off, because if you don't, then whenever you do the masa mix on there, it's going to fall through that slit and it's going to make it spread. It's going to run like pantyhose. Once you get that little slit in there, it's going to run. All right, so now we found our smooth side and we found the rough side. You want it about the width of your palm of your hand, okay? Because if you get it any bigger, you're not going to be able to hold that corn husk in your hand. And what you're going to do, you're going to take a spoon, get you some masa on the back of the spoon, and you're going to mash it down on that corn husk, just like that. You're going to turn it around. It's just like painting. You got to get it all even. Now you see how the masa is not sticking on the corn husk there? Your corn husk is probably too wet. So you just keep spreading until you get it. It's a long process. Once it starts folding up like that, you're not getting enough masa on there. You need more masa. And then you'll just start right there where you was at. You're just gonna go around until you get it. You don't want the masa on there too thick, because if you get it too thick, it's gonna take longer to cook. But you don't want it too thin, because if you get it too thin, then all you're gonna have is meat. Because once it starts cooking, the masa is gonna form with your meat. And that's the way it looks. You're gonna go about halfway up the corn husk. You're gonna make it where you don't have that many spots that you can see through it. If you can see through it, it's too thin. The main spot that you don't want it too thin at is at the bottom, toward the bottom of the husk. All right, we got about 4 or 5 dozen that we're gonna do. Once we get a few of them done, we'll come back and show you. And once we start doing the tamales, we'll show you that too. Good. Okay, we got 3 dozen tamales, the husk ready. Then fixing to fill them with some meat. Then we're gonna roll them up. You're gonna take your pan, you're gonna have a little stool for it right here. That way you can pour your meat to the side and let some of the grease drain down. Because you don't want a whole lot of grease in your tamale whenever you wrap it. All right, you're gonna take the corn husk, get your one, you see how it came about halfway up? That's where you're gonna start your meat at. You don't wanna overfill it with meat, because you wanna have enough for all 3 dozen. So you're just gonna take your little spoonful, You're gonna work your way down. Most of it you're gonna put back in the pan because like I said, you don't want a whole lot of meat. Just a little scoop. Take one side, fold it over, mash it in like that, take the other side, fold it over. Make sure you got meat in the end of it right there. If you don't have enough meat, you can take some and just push it in like that right there. Okay? Then you're gonna take this part and you're gonna fold it down the same side that you folded it in. And that's it. And you got your tamale. You're gonna set it over here, do the rest of them like that. Once we get them all wrapped, we'll show you how to put them in a pot and cook them. Not every corn husk is going to take the same amount of meat. Some is going to take more, some is going to take less. See how much wider this one is than the first ones I just done? You're going to need a little more meat on that one because you don't want to skimp on the meat and make it too thin and just eat nothing but masa. You want to actually have some meat in there for somebody to taste. Now this one is going to be a fatter tamale. They're not all going to be the same size. It's making tamales with all this stuff right here. You can make tamale balls, which is what Junior is making. He has this little thing where he takes some of the masa mix. He'll make him some little flat balls, little patties there. And then he'll fill it with the meat and make him some tamale balls. Shut up, Carl. Yeah.
Film what you're doing. Okay, just stack them in, each side up.
Man, we don't have a lid. I'll do aluminum foil. Should cover it.
So you want the top of it to be good and tight, or as tight as possible.
Yeah, as tight as possible. Whenever you have a lid, you know you're gonna have some steam coming out.
Right.
So what you're gonna do with this one? Howdy, howdy, who's that?
How's that look?
Looks nice.
Don't show too much fat.
Where?
Goodies.
That's fine.
No, I don't have one.
So what you do, you got a toothpick, man, make a bar. I'll put them on a medium heat. Once you know it's unboiled, kind of turn them down a little bit. So let it kind of start boiling. for a few minutes. Once you know done boil, lower your heat a little bit, and then let them steam for about 45 minutes.
You can do talking on this one.
So anyway, we made some tamale balls, and this is the what they look like after being cooked in the oven for about 30 minutes at 350 degrees. They are very tasty. They're a little spicy, but they're good. So stay tuned for the tamales. Do you know how to operate the video?
Yeah, it's gone.
Oh, it is. Okay, so tamales are completely done, and we're going to unwrap them and see what they taste like. Don't that look good? Grab me a fork here real quick. There we go. Man, good and hot. Give it a try here. That's pretty dang good right there, I tell you what. Y'all need to try to make some homemade tamales. Bye, y'all.